This is National Sales Director Leah Lachlan, and I just want to say congratulations. You did it. You made it. You promoted yourself to the top position that you can be at as a consultant, and you are now in DIQ, Director in Qualification, and you are the envy of your entire unit because of this elite leadership position that you have as a consultant. And this message is for DIQs, and my goal in this message is a couple different things. I want to, first of all, communicate what DIQ is and really what it takes and best practices while in DIQ, and I want to talk about some mindset stuff because there's a lot that goes on in DIQ. It's a big learning curve because you're not only learning to master the skills in your own personal business, booking, coaching, selling, and recruiting, but you're also learning to be a leader, a mentor, a coach, and a trainer for all the women in your unit. And DIQ can be an intense time because it's just a big learning curve. You're mastering skills and also learning to train and coach other women to do the same. And then the mental piece of DIQ is also huge. You know, Mary Kay, the skills, once you get some basic training and practice, they're pretty simple. Anybody can read a booking script and learn how to do a skincare class and learn how to share the opportunity. That's the simple stuff. The hard stuff sometimes is the mental part of it and the emotional part of it. And so we're going to talk about some of those things and address that in this message for DIQs. And DIQ, it's an intense time. It's a 1 to 4 month time frame. You can finish DIQ in 1, 2, 3, or 4 months. And it's intense because there's a deadline and there are certain numbers you need to hit, and they're big numbers, and you can't mess around. You really need to be working your business at a high level, and it's really going to show you what you're made of. DIQ has a way of drawing out a woman's strengths and challenging a woman to be at her best and to grow into the person that God's created her to be. So you're going to experience all of those things in DIQ. And I also, in this message, want to communicate just the standard of excellence and integrity that we have in the Lachlan area. And I want to give you a picture of what that looks like. And I think it's just so important to be clear on the front end of what you've just gotten yourself into. And you may be very familiar with DIQ and directorship just because maybe you've been in Mary Kay for a while, or you might be brand new. You might be thinking like, what is DIQ? What have I just done? What have I gotten myself into? And so I want to communicate what the DIQ timeframe is going to look like and just some expectations of DIQs and best practices. These are just tips from according to Leah Lachlan on best practices in DIQ. And so this message, I first want to talk about what it means to be a director, and then we're going to talk about the packet. And actually, let me talk about the packet real quick. If you're listening to this audio, either you're listening to it, well, you're probably listening to it on my website, which is where we're going to put it. And also on that page, there is a DIQ packet, and it's a letter from me, and then there's a commitment letter, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this message. And then there's a DIQ questionnaire, and I would really love for you to fill that out and take the time to do that. Not only so we can get to know you better, myself and your director, but just so you can get to know yourself better and verbalize and express some of the reasons that you are working this business and why it's important to you. So please do take the time to read through that and process through some of those questions. And then there's also a page about what truth is, just some powerful messages on that page. And then there's a page of affirmations, and then there's a tracking sheet. And so this packet was created just to be a tool and a resource for you to move through DIQ successfully. So please do read through the packet. And then let's move on to talk about what it means to be a director, because that's what DIQ is all about. It's a time frame where you are in a training ground to learn to be a director, which really means you're learning to be a leader. In a leadership position, it's a very serious position because it's not just about you. It's about you leading other women. Now, you first have to learn to lead yourself before you can learn to lead other women. So DIQ, you're learning both of those. You're learning to lead yourself and work your own personal business, and then you're learning to lead other women. And it is definitely a serious position. And it's the training ground that's going to prep you for directorship, because it doesn't end with DIQ. When you complete DIQ, you don't finish, you just start. When you become a director, that's where really the fun begins. And that's where you sit down at a banquet table and you can literally have it all. And there's a bountiful feast in front of you, and you can pick and choose what you want, and the opportunity is unlimited. So view DIQ as the training ground that's going to prepare you to be the leader and the director that you're going to be for the women in your unit. And that's really where it begins, is as a sales director. And as a director, you're actually in the top 2% of a multi-billion-dollar company. So it's a very elite position that you have. Your income triples. I remember when I was in DIQ, it was either our first or second month of DIQ, our team did 11,000 in production, which is the highest we had done up until that point. And I was excited because my commission check, I believe, was around $1,200 or $1,500, and that didn't include my sales. And for a part-time job, I was excited about that commission check. It was my highest one thus far. But then I found out that had I been a director, it would have been more like $3,500, because all of that production was my personal team production, and you make a higher commission on your personal team. So it would have been around $3,500, give or take. So almost 3 times the amount of commissions for doing the same work. So get excited about that, because once you finish DIQ and become a sales director, your income basically triples. Pretty exciting. And then also you get to wear the beautiful director suit. It's such a incredible day when that suit arrives at your doorstep. They deliver it in a beautiful box, and you get to order it and customize it for you. And just putting that suit on, I mean, not only do you look super sharp and professional and you look like a leader, but it just feels like you've accomplished something, and it stands for what you've accomplished, and it stands for your hard work and for your excellence. So it just feels so rewarding to put that suit on. Also, you get to debut on stage with your senior sales director, and as you walk across stage, there's going to be thousands of people who watch you and applaud you, and that walk across that stage is also going to stand for your excellence and for your hard work. And I think most importantly and most rewarding is just the leadership part of it. You get to impact the lives of other women. You get to carry on Mary Kay Ash's original goal of enriching women's lives with this business opportunity. And that's the majority of what you get to do as a director. So I did want to talk through some mindset stuff first before we read through the commitment letter. Because like I said, you can learn the skills. The skills are simple. Sometimes the tough part is the mental piece. And I've heard before that Mary Kay is 10% skill and 90% your mental game. So let's talk about some of that stuff. I've recently read a book called The Secrets of the World Class, and it was talking about the way that people can think. And there's a poverty class, a working class, a middle class, an upper class, and a world class. So there's 5 different levels, and it has nothing to do with economic status, but has everything to do with how people think, how you think, how you work, how you view yourself, how you view others. And it distinguishes, there's a lot of definitions of how middle class thinkers think and how world class thinkers think. And I wanted to talk to you about that because as I was reading this book, I thought, you know what, that's what you learn as a DIQ and as a director. You learn to be a world class leader. So let's define what that is. It says that a middle-class thinker is often frustrated and focused on obstacles, while a world-class thinker is grateful. So the world-class people, they still have frustrations and obstacles, but they don't choose to focus on them. They choose to wake up every day and remember what they're grateful for. And they still have obstacles, but they choose to see the opportunities instead of the obstacles, and they choose to have a heart of gratitude instead of being stuck in frustration. Middle class competes while the world class creates. So the middle class is thinking on competing and beating other people, and there's nothing wrong with competition, but the world class thinks bigger than that. They think of the life that they can create for themselves and for other people, not just about the competition. Middle class avoids risk. World class manages risk. Okay, so world class, they're not reckless or careless in taking risks. They just manage the risks they have, and they're willing to take those risks because they know that that's where the fruit is. The fruit is out on the vine, and you've got to stretch and you've got to step out of your comfort zone to reach and to stretch for the life of your dreams. And world class thinkers, they're willing to take that risk and take that chance. While middle class, they're just basically satisfied living a mediocre life and not willing to take that risk. Middle class, they love to be comfortable, while the world class is comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's what I want you to do in DIQ. Just get comfortable being uncomfortable. Do something every day that scares you. Face that fear of warm chattering a sharp woman or calling a hot prospect. Face those fears because it's going to grow you so much as a person, and the growth that you're going to see in your business is huge. So be comfortable being uncomfortable. Middle class focuses on having and getting, while the world class focuses on being. That's another thing you're going to learn in DIQ and as a director. There's a Jim Rohn quote that says, you can work hard on a job or at a business and make a living. You work hard on yourself and you can make a fortune. So success really is all about being and becoming the person that God created you to be, not just about having and getting. Middle class has pipe dreams. The world class has vision. So middle class has dreams of what they want their life to be, but they're pipe dreams because they're not willing to do the work or take the risks. But the world class has a vision that they're clear on and they're willing to chase down that vision. Middle class, they're problem oriented. World class are solution oriented. And you're going to have to learn that in DIQ because you're going to be faced with problems and challenges, and you just got to say, you know what? I'm a problem solver and I can figure this out. I'm a smart woman and I can get through this. Be solution oriented. The middle class, they see themselves as victims, and they can often blame others and blame their circumstances for where they're at in life, while world class thinkers, they see themselves as responsible, like 110% personally responsible for their life, their choices, and where they're at. The middle class, they think they know enough, while the world class are eager to learn. We're going to talk about that later in this recording, that you should always be reading a leadership book or a self-development or personal development book, always listening to Mary Kay CDs and audios that inspire you and teach you. The middle class chooses fear, while world class chooses growth. And so those are some definitions of what it means to be world class. And I just hope and pray that you would learn some of these things and internalize some of those truths, because they're really going to grow you as a leader. Okay, so let's finish this audio recording with going through the commitment checklist. And it's in your packet. And I realize that you can read, and you can read this yourself. And I'm going to have you initial each statement and then return it to myself and your director. And you can either mail it to us or scan and email it, or you can just take a picture and text it or email it. Any way is fine. But I do want to encourage you to read through this. And I'm going over this because these are some things that I think are best practices, and they're important to know, and they're only going to help you be successful. So I hope you don't view them as rules or that I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you my best advice because I want you to be successful. And these are some of the things that are going to support you in being successful. So let's read through them. The first statement says, I will uphold Mary Kay's values, principles, and traditions, abiding at all times by the Go Give Spirit principles, and I will operate my business with integrity and the highest standard of ethics. And that's number one, because that's the highest thing that we value. There's no reward in working a business and not being ethical and not being Go Give and not abiding by the initial values and principles that Mary Kay put in place. So that's going to be the highest level of importance as you work your Mary Kay business. The second statement, I will sit down and plan my numbers and plan my schedule at the beginning of each month so that I'm in front of enough people to accomplish my goals, and I will share this plan with my director. This is number two, because you've got to be in front of the people. You've got to put product on faces and share this opportunity to be successful in DIQ. There's no other way around it. That's what's got to happen. And in front of enough people so that you are ending each month and finishing DIQ in abundance. Because you can finish the month in one of two ways. You can finish the month feeling desperate and feeling like you're trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip because you weren't in front of enough people. And that is an icky, icky feeling. I don't want you to feel or have that feeling of desperation as you wrap up the month. I want you to finish the month and finish DIQ with absolute abundance and excitement because you have more people to call, more people to follow up with than you even have time for. That's how I want you to work through DIQ. But that starts with planning your month and sitting down and literally planning every day, planning every week so that you make sure you've got the parties on your date book to be in front of the people with this product and this opportunity so that you can grow your business. I also want you to share that plan with your director because she can support you in doing that. She's been there before. She's been through DIQ. She's been a director. And so she is your coach, your mentor, and your guide as you work through DIQ successfully. Statement number 3, I will communicate with my family the intensity of this season of DIQ, and we will decide on a common goal, and they'll decide what's in it for them, for the entire family. I understand that DIQ is not the time for a vacation, a new dog, for moving, or any other large transition in life if it can be helped. Sometimes you just can't avoid certain things that come up, but if it can be helped, don't plan any large transition. And communicating with your family will be super important because you might be gone a little bit more. They might be thinking, where's mom or where's dinner? You're going to be a little bit more busy and your focus is going to be on finishing the goal. And so your family needs to know on the front end what it's going to look like. And they need to know that it's just a season. It's not forever. It's just a season. You can do anything for 1, 2, 3, or 4 months. And it's important to find or to let them know what's in it for them. So enroll your kids in the goal. Have them help with the goal. Have a family celebration plan for once you finish DIQ so they can have something to look forward to. So communication with family is going to be vital. Next statement. I understand I'm setting a new bar of positivity for my team. I will not allow gossip around me. If it's not positive, it's negative. I will reach up to my director for encouragement. And that's something we so value and cherish in Mary Kay is the positive environment. There's so many other environments in our lives that are not positive and that it's always negative. And so let Mary Kay be that positive bubble, that positive pink bubble, but you've got to lead the way for your team and they're going to follow your example. And so you don't gossip at the meeting. You don't talk about other people. You always talk about what's positive. And if it's not positive or if it's neutral, usually if it's neutral, it probably is just not worth saying. And if it's not positive, just leave it alone. Learn to bite your tongue. Learn to listen more instead of talk more, because you only want positivity being communicated to your team, and especially at your weekly meeting. And you've got to set the pace for that for your team. Next statement, I will be coachable and take advice from my director, and I will initiate communication with her. I understand that this is my baby, and I am responsible for taking ownership of this goal, knowing the rules, tracking my numbers, and I will not play hide and seek with my director. I will respect her time, returning all calls, texts, emails, and boxes in a timely manner. So let's talk about this. Communication with your director is so important. And some of you may already have that. You may already be in daily communication. You get that. You know that you're initiating it. You're reaching out to her and you've got a good working relationship with your director. Sometimes it takes a while to get this because at other jobs and in corporate America, we're not taught to do this. Sometimes it's every man or woman for him or herself. And sometimes it's a sign of weakness if you ask for help or ask for questions, but it's not like that in Mary Kay. There is just this sisterhood about Mary Kay that there's a mentor-mentee relationship, a coach-coachee relationship that happens anytime someone promotes themselves. I really have never known anyone to move up in Mary Kay that's done it all on their own. They've always had a mentor and a coach and a guide that has helped them along the way to help support them in moving to that next level. And so usually it's your director or your national sales director who's going to support you in this. But the communication has got to be tight. It's got to be daily. It's got to be happening all the time. And you've got to initiate it. Don't let her always be the one that reaches out to you. Reach out to her. Leave her a message after every party and let her know what happened. Tell her what you're thinking. Tell her the numbers that you're working with. Tell her what your plan is so that she can support you and guide you through this process. this is just going to be vital. So if this is not already in place with your director, have a conversation with her about this, because it's gonna really be an important thing as you work through DIQ. Let's talk about hide and seek. It says, I will not play hide and seek with my director. Hide and seek is when maybe you're not feeling so great about your business and your director's reaching out to you, and you're not feeling so hot about Mary Kay, and you just don't return messages in a timely manner. But then you're feeling better about your business and you have questions and you need her advice and support and you need her time. And so you're seeking her. You're trying to find her. And you know what? That's not fair. And we do not play hide and seek in the Laughlin National area because it's just immature. So we're going to be big girls and we're going to be women of excellence and we're going to be leaders. And we just do not do that. And if there's ever a time in your business that you just don't feel like talking, you know what? Just let her know. Say, hey, I'm in a funky place right now. Catch me in a couple days, or I'll call you back in the next day or two. You can at least communicate that so she's not wondering what happened to her. Is she okay? Is everything all right with her? So we communicate in this national area and we value each other's time and we return all calls, texts, emails, and boxes in a timely manner because we have a national area that's built on respect for other people. So moving on, next statement. I understand my place on the scoreboard does not equal my worth as a person. And let's talk about this because there is a scoreboard in Mary Kay. Every month you get an applause magazine in the mail that shows everybody's rank and everybody's paycheck. You know, what other company does that? You can see what everybody else is doing. There is probably a newsletter that comes out every month in your unit that shows everybody's rank and what they're doing and what they're achieving. So there's a scoreboard, and the scoreboard is a good thing. I think iron sharpens iron. When we see other people being successful, it raises the bar for us. So the scoreboard is an important thing and it's vital, and I think it can sharpen you, and I think healthy competition is a good thing as long as you're not getting as long as you're not looking too much into it and finding your worth and value in what you can accomplish, because that is not who you are, and you can't find your value in the scoreboard and where you rank. Because what can happen is we start comparing ourselves to other people, and we always compare our weaknesses to their strengths, of course, so we never do a fair comparison, and then we start to feel bad about ourselves and we start to lose self-confidence and lose self-esteem, and I don't want you to ever do that. So whether you're ranked high on the scoreboard or low on the scoreboard, use that as a tool to just sharpen yourself and to get better, but it doesn't go any deeper than that. Your worth and value comes from your creator, and that's it. You play for an audience of one. So put the blinders on. Do not look to the left or the right. Don't get caught in comparing yourself. We all have our own unique and beautiful journey. And sometimes we want someone else's journey. Sometimes we can think, you know what, I want her journey or her story. But don't get caught into thinking like that, because you have your own unique journey, and we're all individual, and we all have our own journey that's going to look very different than everyone else's. And you know what? That's okay. Moving on. Next statement. I understand the daily commitment to booking, selling, and sharing appointments that will be required. I understand that book 10 plus, more like book 15 or book 20 when you're in DIQ. Book 10 on my date book for the month is what it's going to take to set up a strong month, and book 10 is the minimum. And so we always have this promotion of book 10 by the 5th, and I want that to just be such a habit that you couldn't imagine not having 10 appointments on your date book. And I want you to have 10 or more and always keep 10 or more. Whenever you go to a party and that booking falls off your date book, you add 2 more to your date book so that your date book is always full. We talked before about ending the month with that feeling of desperation. You know what? That doesn't happen when you have book 10 or more on your date book and you're set up in the beginning of the month. So book 10 is not optional in DIQ. It is not optional. It is the first thing that needs to happen at the beginning of every new month so that you're set up to have a successful month. Next statement. I will commit to listening to training audios, reading empowering books daily so that I will develop my confidence, my knowledge, and my leadership skills. So what book are you reading right now? What CDs are in your car right now? What audios are on your iPod that you listen to in the bathroom? Because you need to immerse yourself in positive messages and in things that are stretching you, growing you, and teaching you. That's going to be that's just important in life in general, but so much more in DIQ. Remember, you can work hard at a job and make a living, work hard on yourself, and you're going to make a fortune. And so some people I hear often will say, oh, I don't have time to read the book. I don't have time to do this. And I think you don't have time not to. You can't let life pass you by without growing yourself as a leader, especially in this position. Next statement, I am committed to attending every weekly meeting with or without guests, and I'm willing to be an example of enthusiasm, work ethic, and possibility for my sister consultants. So let's talk about your weekly meeting. You may already be in the habit of attending, but you may not be in the habit of attending. And going to your weekly meeting is important in so many ways. First of all, just for the positive atmosphere, also for the training that you're going to get there. Also because you can bring guests, and you can put your guests in front of your director, and you can sell product, and you can recruit at your meeting. You can build relationships with sister consultants, and you can be an encourager to the other women who are there. And that's why I'm making a statement that you need to go with or without guests. I know sometimes consultants can get in the habit of, well, hey, if I don't have guests, well, I'm not going to go. And that is just so an attitude of, I'm only in it for what's in it for me, and that's it. And I don't want you to have that attitude. I want you to go thinking, you know what can I give? What do I have to give to the other consultants and guests in this room? What do I have to give to my director? How can I encourage the other people who are there? Because that's what a leader thinks like. That's what a leader asks herself as she walks into a room of other consultants and guests. So be that kind of leader, and don't just show up at your weekly meeting. Show up to give and to serve the women who are there. The next statement is, I understand that buying product just to hit a goal is never okay. Thus, I am committed to leading by example with a strong personal retail sales business, and I will own the skill of tracking and managing my Mary Kay money. So this goes back to things like Book 10 and making sure you're set up in the beginning of the month so that you're in front of enough people so that you can support the retail sales and the wholesale that needs to happen in DIQ, and that you do have healthy money management happening in your business. And so when you're not in front of enough people, that's when desperation sets in. And that's when the temptation comes to just place an order to hit the goal, and not because you sold the product, just because you need the production. And you do not want to work through DIQ like that. That's an icky way to work through DIQ. So it's your responsibility to be in front of the people so that you're selling this product and sharing this opportunity. Next statement, I will develop my mature big girl courage in my business, and I will not take no personally. I spent too much time as a new consultant and a new director taking things personally and letting it chip away at my confidence because I was taking things personally. And it's not personal. When you hear a no or a cancellation, it's really not about you. It's about them. And so you just say, whatever, next, moving on. Some people, some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. Start saying that. Some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. So the no's are going to happen. It's inevitable, but you've got to learn to mentally and emotionally deal with them and know that it's not a personal thing. So put your big girl panties on, be bold, be courageous, focus on why you're working this business, keep that in front of you every day, and the no's are just going to roll off. And when you're on stage debuting as a new sales director, you're not going to remember the no's. You won't even remember it, and you won't even care because you just kept going and you did it anyways. You don't need anyone else to finish this goal. It's just about you and your decision and your willingness to work for it. Last statement. I understand that leaders in Mary Kay are expected to be at 4 large events each year, and I will explain the significance of this to my family in advance so that they know I'm going, and I will show up at these events. And it's leadership conference in January. Jumpstart happened in January. We've got career conference in the spring, seminar in the summer, and fall advance in the fall. Those are 4 big events that it's really kind of just your job to show up. It's really not optional. And of course it's optional because this is your own business, so you can make your own choices, but it's just kind of your job to go. So you can fill yourself up, fill your cup up and learn. But then also if you don't go, how can you expect your consultants to go? So you go because you lead by example and you want them to be there and you want to be there to support them when they go to these big events. So plug them into your calendar, get all the dates, get them into your calendar, communicate that that to your family so that there's no surprises, and show up at these events because they will really support your success as a DIQ and a director. So that is the commitment letter. So go ahead and initial all of those if you agree to that. And there's another commitment form on Mary Kay In Touch. So that is different than this. Mary Kay In Touch has a form that you fill out usually by the 6th or the 8th of the month, and you commit to Mary Kay that you want to be in DIQ. It doesn't just automatically happen on In Touch when you have 10 or more active. You have to say, Mary Kay, I want to be in DIQ, and I am committing to this. And so this is separate from the commitment form on Mary Kay In Touch. So read through this packet, send us your information. We're so excited to work with you and watch you succeed. It's going to be such an exciting journey. Your director and myself as your national sales director are here for you, and we're just going to be cheering you on and praying for you throughout this entire process.